Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome, everybody, to Strasburg Steve TV, or well, no, just Strasburg Steve. Doing a live Serie A preview for this weekend's matches and the feature match, obviously, Lazio Inter Milan on Monday, but there are 9 other fixtures I'm going to go over with. And I'm joined by my boy Dan, who also watches Serie A quite a bit. So big up to you, man. How you been? How you been?
Been a long day, mate. Running around up London all day takes it out of you.
That's fair. That's fair. Before we get into anything, please, people, I would like all of you to go over to the Hotspur Hood and go subscribe to my guy Dan. He's a Spurs fan. Really good channel. You always got good guests on there. You run a stream pretty much every day, right? Maybe 5 out of 7 days of the week.
Just very irregular. Sometimes I do it 4 days on the trot and then miss it for a week and then 3 days on the trot. I'm just irregular. I do them as they come, basically.
Yeah.
Half the time I can't be bothered to do a whole week and then just sit there and talk about the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Ends up doing your head in.
I hear. I'm gonna put your link in the chat real quick for people to subscribe to. But yeah, please, people, make sure to go like and subscribe to Dan's channel. Gonna try, depending on both our availabilities, about trying to make this. We'll maybe try and do this every Friday, see how it goes. But yeah, there is the link, people. Make sure to go and subscribe to Dan's channel if you want Tottenham Hotspur coverage there. So, and then before we get into the preview of the weekend, some interesting European results for the Italian teams in Europe. So we had, just real quickly, we had, what's the first one? Leverkusen and Internazionale. Obviously, your boys went to play. Yeah, what do you think of the game briefly?
I only saw the replays of the game, basically. And we should have had that, I think, but Leverkusen, they're no mugs. They're not easy to deal with, but I still think we should have had the better of them.
Were you surprised with the lineup at all?
Well, we had a couple of injuries, and I think he was resting a couple of people as well.
Yeah, Lautaro
against Lazio, we're going to see a few more of them come on.
Yeah, I mean, you've had 2 you have this away game to Bayer Leverkusen, and then going to Red Hot Lazio. We'll get into that in a minute, but yeah, a bit of rotation, but overall, like that 11, I don't fault Inzaghi for that necessarily. I watched the game as well. I thought that Leverkusen were more of the aggressor. I thought Inter were a bit too pragmatic. However, you'll know this being an Inter fan. Like defensively at the start of the season, it was looking a bit shaky. 4 goals to Juventus. There were a few teams put a few goals past you. And last year, obviously, your defense was outstanding. So I thought it was an even game, maybe slightly lean Inter for the chances, but I felt like Leverkusen eventually. I mean, that is just what they do. They score late winners. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things in the Champions League table, you've got a really comfortable position in that top 6 right now, with their next 2 games in the champs being, I want to say it's, who do you got in the Champions League next? I think it's 2 of the easier teams. Let's check this out.
It should be.
So you've got Sparta Praha away and Monaco. So if you get the win versus Sparta Praha, you go up to what? 16.
Monaco won't be easy. Again, they're no mugs. They're not the easiest ones to play against, but it's another one I reckon we should be able to take them to close.
Yeah. So you're looking pretty sound for that top 8 in Champions League, to be honest. So not the best result. Obviously, don't want to lose, but overall, you competed against Leverkusen. So there you go. And then Benfica Bologna doesn't really matter too much. Bologna already eliminated. Not really surprised that they've struggled so much in the champs this year, losing a manager. I don't know if you saw this game or not, Juventus and Manchester City. I actually missed this game.
But, I saw the replays of it.
Yeah, I Juventus just like it seemed like Man City's only chance was the Haaland one. Other than that, Juventus defended really well, from what I've heard from people. Conceição had a decent game. Were you surprised that Juve got the win, considering Juve have a lot of injuries as well?
No, I wasn't really at the end of it because
Yeah.
City, they just ain't been on form at the minute, have they? They ain't doing their job. Something's definitely not going right there, but I think they're going to have that sorted out by the start of next season. I reckon Inter have already thrown the season because Pep ain't going to sign up a 2-year contract if they haven't already got a plan, is he?
Yeah,
and I reckon their plan is to have a total clear out at the end of the season, spend about 300 million on some new players, and go for the league again. And he wants to win the league one more time before he leaves, because otherwise he wouldn't have signed another 2-year contract.
Yeah, definitely. And with that win as well, you're up now, Juventus are up now to 11th. I don't know if they'll quite have enough to get into the top 8, but they'll be top 24 probably comfortably. Meanwhile, Man City are in a bit of a precarious position. Their next game is Paris Saint-Germain away. And if this losing run of their or winless run of theirs continues, it's like 1 win in 10 or 11 or something crazy like that in all comps. They could be in real.
Spurs.
Yeah, for real. I mean, they lost to you guys 4-0, obviously. So Man City are in a bit of a situation here with the Champions League. I think they'll scrape it, get into that top 24 somehow, but now they have to look at the teams below them. I mean, Stuttgart, they play Paris Saint-Germain. That's another big head-to-head on, I believe that's the final day. Zagreb have done unexpectedly kind of well, and same thing with PSV. And then above them, these teams, I don't know what you've overall thought about the Champions League format this year, but I think it's a breath of fresh air. I think there's a lot of intrigue going into these last 2 days or 2 match days. What do you think of the format overall?
When they the way they've done the league, basically.
Yeah, the new format for champs. Yeah.
It took my mate to explain it to me properly, because while I was watching it on TV, I was just thinking, what are they doing?
Yeah,
because it was just different. Then when my mate explained it to me, I got the idea of it properly. First off, weren't too keen on it because I don't really like the idea of you can play someone away, but then you ain't going to play them at home. But then I get what they've done. They've tried to make it so bigger teams play bigger teams more consistently and earlier, because they're still trying to fight. They're still trying to fight that Super League, aren't they? Which we know he's going to turn up again with an offer. And I think overall it was quite a smart way they've done it, because you're seeing bigger games a lot earlier.
And they mean something. Like that Paris Saint-Germain Man City game, the loser of that probably is not going to advance to the top 24 out of 36. And there are some teams in there that look kind of, very unexpected teams that will take, like, no one saw Brestois being in 7th place after 6 match days on 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. No one saw maybe a Club Brugge being in a pretty decent position, or a Celtic or a Dinamo Zagreb even maybe taking that last spot. So I think it's given kind of everyone a chance, sort of thing. And I don't know. I quite like the format. I like the old format, of course, but like Ed makes a good point here. In the old format, Man City, Real Madrid, and Paris Saint-Germain would usually quite comfortably make the knockouts. You could throw Bayern München into that convo as well. You could throw Barcelona. You could throw Liverpool. When Man United are really good, they were always getting, in and out of the group stage to next round really easily. But yeah, exactly. In the new format, those 3 teams can struggle if they slip up even a little bit. So I quite like it. Some people are skeptical about it, but
I think it looks deeper than it actually is. It looks more confusing than it is. It's just getting the hang of you're only playing a game away, or you're only going to play the team at home. But again, where we're starting to see earlier games of top teams playing top teams, I think that's what people wanted, isn't it? So
yeah, that's what we all want, really.
Instead of having about 4 or 5 little leagues where one of them will easily walk through it, and so will a second one, and then you always had that one definitely, didn't you, where there was like 3 decent teams and always that poor little team at the end. So I do think overall the way they've done it is definitely more for the entertainment.
Yeah, I quite like it. And then the last Italian team we'll touch on upon here. I don't think I watched this game. Yeah, I didn't. It was on the Wednesday. I mean, they scraped past Red Star Belgrade. That's not a good look. Milan this year have been dreadful at times, really dreadful under new
apart
manager.
from beat,
I mean,
apart from beating us.
Right in the derby. Yeah, it's weird. They've got Milan this year have had some fantastic wins. You know, the Real Madrid one, obviously the derby, like you mentioned. So Milan, but then in this game, they just couldn't quite, pepper Red Star like everybody thought they would. So in terms of them in the Champions League, they're 12th. The next two games are Dinamo Zagreb and Girona. So maybe if they go and win those two, they can get into that top 8. And then actually, I forgot the other Italian team, a certain Atalanta, lost 3-2 to Real Madrid. I thought it was a really good game. I do think Gasperini is a bit too gung-ho in terms of the Atalanta defensively weren't as solid as they have been at times this year. But it was a really, really good game. And it's impressive just in isolation to think that Atalanta with their budget competed against Real Madrid and their budget and superstars. So they put on a spectacle at least. And Lookman just continues to be a stud. I don't know if you saw the game or any highlights, but what do you think of this?
No, I didn't see the game or the highlights on it. And but Atalanta, it's a team I've liked for a little while. I had a little soft spot for them. So, same as I'd say I've always liked Inter. Inter have always been my team since I was about 11 years old. And the other one I always had a soft spot for was mainly for a player, and that was Fiorentina, because Batistuta I still think he's one of the best strikers there's been.
Yeah, phenomenal player.
Call it biased in that aspect.
Yeah. I wish I could have watched him, but yeah, you're right. A lot of people are growing more and more accustomed to seeing Atalanta in these big time games. So I think they'll make top 8 because their next game is Sturm Graz. I'd expect them to win that. And then on the final match day, they've got Barcelona away, which is an interesting one. Again, they'll come up against a huge team. Probably get a draw there. So maybe, that could go anywhere because Barcelona can be a bit shaky at times. That high line, that can definitely be exploited by Atalanta that Barca plays. So that's what the Italian teams did in Champions League. Real quick about Europa League. Unfortunately, these bums got the 3-0 dub. Good for them. Braga, I thought, were very sloppy. But Roma look a little bit better under Claudio Ranieri. I think maybe this formation suits their squad probably the best. Not really surprised because Claudio Ranieri just has a knack of sorting teams out on different levels. I don't think Roma are going to find consistency this season. I don't think they're going to make Europe. But they are doing kind of all right lately.
I think Roma can get their act together because they have not got a bad team at all. The midfield's quite solid on its day, and when you've got players like Dybala running around behind, and you can definitely set up the striker. What's his name? I can't even pronounce the bloody names. I think he's quite a solid striker if you feed him enough.
Yeah,
but he's one of those strikers, he can't feed himself. He needs to be fed.
Yeah, and then the whole thing with Dybala and Sule, they actually played really well together. That's been one of Roma's problems this year because those are your two marquee players. Alongside Kone, Hummels is a good free signing, and also Dovbyk and Lefebvre as well. So my thing with Roma was that their squad was constructed, and I'm sure you've seen this at Spurs, where your squad is constructed in such a flawed way where certain players have to play, but then that means someone else has to drop out and the formation isn't like, what formation could Roma consistently play with? I don't know. They've used about 7 different formations with the 3 managers this year. So maybe this
one suits them best. The only way they can chop this round, I think, is to stick 2 up the front with 1 behind, but I think they're better off sticking what they're doing. And they've got another player that I really like as well that a lot of people underestimate, in my opinion, Pellegrini. I think he's a brilliant player, but a lot of people don't actually rate him. I think he's really good. He's a player I wouldn't say no to at Tottenham, definitely. Same as Locatelli.
I think he's a bit beat up. There was the injury that happened during the Euros the one that they won. And I think ever since then, I still think he's a talented player. I haven't seen that level to him since the injury, and he's getting on a little bit. But yeah, I agree with you. He is a very talented player. And then obviously my boys Lazio 3-1 win away to Ajax. Really impressed, man. Because Ajax not been poor this season by any means. Our squad actually has some real depth to it. We can change out the goalkeeper, can change out the left back, the two center backs, and the right back. Attacking depth, we've got plenty of that. Buladia, Pedro, Castellanos, Chawana. Rovell has been sensational this year. Absolutely sensational. Deli Bashiru's been a really good squad player. And yeah, our depth is impressive, man. Isaksen, Noslin, Marusic, Gila, Nuno Tavares. We'll get onto him when we talk Inter Lazio. He's been outstanding. Zaccagni's a sniper. So I was really, really happy with Lazio yesterday. I thought it was going to be a draw, but we do sit top of the Europa League, and obviously Spurs are in that as well. Not getting a great result yesterday versus Rangers. But like right now, it was really bad. It was bad. Not a surprise though. But yeah, in terms of Europa League, who do you see as the favorites? As in at this moment in time?
Lazio, they definitely got to be the favourites to win that league now. Them or Bilbao, one or the other.
We have the depth.
I mean, really, I think it's irrelevant. As long as you go through on it, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah. It's more of a, I guess.
It just looks good.
Yeah, of course. I would say Athletic Club are probably the favorites, just because Baroni, this is his first season with a club like Lazio in Europe. I mean, he's doing fantastically well. And I would say we're definitely top 2 or 3 favorites for sure. I'm saying Athletic Club just because of Ernesto Valverde. They have a really good squad. I mean, all of them are Basque-based, and they, I'd probably say they're slightly the favorites, but I put Lazio top 3 alongside a Frankfurt and a Lyon. Man United, I don't think are gonna. For me, Lazio, I think we would deal with Man United, not like comfortably, but I would favor us over 2 legs. Spurs, I don't really give you guys a shot to be honest. I don't know how you feel about that, but
I think we're qualified.
You keep your manager. This is under your under Ange.
I just don't rate the manager, you know that. But
yeah,
I think we're qualified for it because we got a couple of easy enough games coming through that we should be able to do with a substandard team. But the way we're playing at the moment and the way Ange does it, anyone's capable of doing a stand side or a long ball.
For real.
And it showed again yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally,
that's why I want the manager gone.
He's awful. He's so bad. I won't torture you with Tottenham talk. Finally, though, Fiorentina absolutely obliterating Las Glins. I think they're second favorites behind Chelsea for the competition, personally. And we'll touch on Fiorentina in depth a bit later, but like they've been outstanding this year. They've been so good. It's horrible what happened to Eduardo Bove. But I think that could give them some real strength and something to really play for off the pitch wise. And I mean, they were already in good form. So I don't know what you make of Fiorentina this year and their chances maybe in the Conference League. What do you think?
Well, the way they're doing in the league at the moment, I can't see why not. They're definitely looking on form. I mean, they had a player for a very long time that I wanted, and that was Milinkovic. And I weren't happy that Forest went and got him so cheap.
Yeah.
And he's a player that I'd rated for about 3 or 4 years. But I think Fiorentina definitely got a chance of doing that cup without a doubt. It's just have they got the squad size to handle the league and the cup?
Yeah.
What one are they going to focus on? What's more important? It's all good getting the cup, but when you're a small team like Fiorentina, because they are small at the end of the day,
right,
Champions League is very important to them for the excess money they're going to get for it. So I think when it comes to the crunch, if it does, I think they're going to focus more on the league than the conference.
Big up Philly. Yeah. Although they do have the same thing going for them as Lazio, they've been able to rotate almost 2 11s. because the competition in the Conference League is obviously not very high, so they can go and play Las Collins with some second choice players and still win 7-0. So we'll see with Fiorentina. I picked them to win Conference League before the season started because it just seemed too obvious to pick Chelsea, and football is hardly ever straightforward like that. So I mean Betis could possibly do something, but yeah, Fiorentina. I mean overall, Dan, Serie A in Europe in the past few years, when people call it a farmers league and stuff, it's rubbish because you say what you want about the stadiums and the TV rights and all this stuff, but they compete in Europe. Almost all of the teams that we were talking about, Juventus competing really pretty damn well in Europe. Milan struggling a bit, but they'll probably still get top 8. Inter, I picked them before the year to win the Champions League. Lazio could go on and win it. Roma could go far. I mean, Serie A in Europe has been very impressive over the past few years.
I think it's always been a relatively tight league at times. Apart from the reason it got named Farmers League is when a team can go out for 9, 10 years, 11 years and win the league straight, it gives it a bad name, doesn't it? Yeah. And then it takes the mud sticks to the back, and then it's going to take a lot of time to lose that reputation. We already know that reputation's out the window. I mean, Juventus over the past 4 years, they haven't looked as good as they have done over the past 10 years.
They're in a rebuild right now, pretty much.
Yeah, but they're still a force that you got to watch out for. I mean, write them off on your own head, basically. But I don't think they'd be in the fight for the title.
The healthier they get, and I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't see them contending for Scudetto this season, because their only striker is Vlahovic. On the wings, that Conceição, very good player, but you can get red cards. So there are a bit of flaws with Juventus. They need a center back in January desperately because Gatti's having to play pretty much every single game. So they've done well though. They've done relatively well. They still haven't lost in Serie A. I mean, looking at the table now going into this match day, which will start in about an hour 45 with Torino Empoli. If you look at the table right now, Atalanta are on top. They've scored a fuckload of goals, and defensively, besides the Real Madrid game, I mean, they've had 17 goals allowed. Only Napoli, Inter, Fiorentina, and Juventus have better records, and Milan somehow as well, even though I think they're dreadful defensively. But yeah, I do you think Atalanta could genuinely win the league this year?
No, I don't think they got the capability to hold out for a season. I think they finished top 4, but I don't think they got the capability to do the season.
Who do you have Scudetto winners right now?
Inter, all day long.
I said Inter beginning of season, but then I was like Napoli, but they screwed up against Napoli and Lazio. So it's interesting because right now Atalanta on 34 points, Napoli on 32. Inter have a game in hand versus Fiorentina. And Fiorentina is also on 31. And Lazio is on 15 with 31. So I think I would say the top 5 for me will be that 5, maybe in different order. But I feel like Juventus with the injuries, that's going to, and the fact they draw way too many games. They draw way too many games in Serie A, Juventus at this moment. And Milan are too inconsistent. They've got too much going on. I mean, Fonseca's probably going to get sacked before the season ends. I would be surprised if he did. Do you see the top 5 staying as those 5, maybe in different order? Or do you see someone dropping out?
The only one I could see pushing in there is Juventus. I mean, Milan, when they got players like Emerson Royale on the side, that's always going to give them trouble, isn't it? But
yeah.
That I could think the top 5 could finish like that. The ones that would fight for 5th place would be between Fiorentina, Lazio, Juventus, and it depends if Milan want to pull their finger out and get their act together, which I don't think they will.
Yeah,
but the only one I could see changing is either Lazio or Fiorentina losing the 4th and 5th place.
You think top 3
Juventus.
Top 3, you're saying definitely going to be that in a different order, maybe.
Unless there's some big injuries at Atalanta, I think they'll hold on to top 3 spot, but I don't think
Yeah.
they've got enough to win it.
Yeah. I mean, it depends if Scamacca comes back, because that's the thing. Because Retegi's been scoring goals like a madman. If they get Scamacca back, the only flaw with the Atalanta squad really is the fact that they don't have. If Ederson is hurt or suspended, you see the drop off, because no one in that Atalanta midfield can really do what Ederson does. I mean, that guy is
He's a very good player.
Phenomenal player.
I'm surprised no one else has gone for him.
Right?
I'm surprised no one went for him at the end of last season.
Yeah, it's
would
impressive.
have been the perfect player at Spurs. Exactly what we would have needed. I don't think it cost an arm and a leg, because that is the advantage of the Premier League over Serie A, where it is just far superior in money.
Yeah.
Clubs like Atalanta, they need that money more. Same as Fiorentina. They're not the richest clubs out there.
Yeah, defo.
And if we went and put a 50 million bid down for him, I think they'd accept it.
Depending on if another club went like 55 or something. Yeah.
Of course, but if it was the only one. But then the other question is, would he want to come over since he's in the Champions League?
True. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I don't think they're going to sell anyone in January, Atalanta, because they're on a title charge right now. They're doing well in they're still in Coppa Italia and in champs. They're in contention to win any of those. I don't think they'll win all 3, but you don't want to play Atalanta. You don't. That's the thing. Like no one wants to play them. So they're very, very impressive team. Going into the matches for this weekend, Empoli Torino, looking at both teams in the Serie A table right now. I mean, Torino started out the year really well, but they have been winless for a while. They're on 16 points, and that's only 4 above the drop zone. They play Empoli, who've actually been kind of decent this year. They've drawn a lot, only lost 4 games though. What do you see going on for that one? I'm saying like a probably 1-1. Maybe favor Empoli to get, because the problem with Torino is their strike force. Like Che Adams, I don't think is going to bag you enough goals. They're missing Zapata, the former Atalanta striker. He had an ACL early in the year. So I'd probably... go on.
Torino and Empoli, it's just one of them games where it can go any way, as far as I'm concerned, because they're both roughly on the same level in the league. They've never been high up there as such. They've had an odd season where they finished higher, but they're pretty much a mid-table team, I'd say.
Yeah.
They're like the Crystal Palace and Fulham of the Premier League, basically.
Yeah, for real. I'll probably go
out of nowhere they appear, and then out of nowhere they disappear, sort of thing.
Yeah. I'll probably go 1-1 for that game. But there is a player I like on Torino a lot, Samuele Ricci. Ricci is a very super talented midfielder. So I do like him. And then who else has been... Swear for Empoli, they had who's the player on loan to Empoli, Dan, from Inter? It was that I'm just gonna have to click on it. Not Caputo. Oh my god, what's his name? Esposito. Esposito's have been having a good year for them.
Getting me to pronounce names right. I can just about pronounce the English one sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the bit I struggle with on there.
That's fair enough. Yeah, some of them are tricky. Some are definitely tricky. Next one, Cagliari Atalanta should be a routine win for Atalanta, you'd say?
Easy enough. They should have that 3-0.
Probably about 3-0, yeah. They've got the depth.
The thing is with Atalanta, they're very composed, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. And
very composed as a team.
When they get control of the game, you're fucked if you're one of these, if you're a Empoli or a Verona or whatever, because they could just smash 5 past you with ease.
At the moment, Atalanta, the way they play at the moment, they remind me of an old school Germany team, like 90s sort of thing. And what I mean by that is how composed they are. Basically, stick a bandana around each of their heads, blindfold, spin them around 5 times, and they still know where every other player is on that pitch.
Yeah.
They know each other very well.
Yeah, Lookman and De Catalare, they've been on fire. I think Lookman's been arguably the Serie A MVP of the season. I think he's been phenomenal. He's got a bunch of goals. I mean, Retegui as well. Retegui, great signing from Genoa. He's got a bunch of goals as well. I mean, Atalanta have scored what? How many goals in the Serie A this year? They've scored 38. That's comfortably the best attack in the league by 4 goals compared to Inter. And then the next best is Lazio, actually. More on them in a few. But yeah, I'd expect Atalanta. Their head-to-head record against Cagliari is pretty dominant as well. So I go like a 4-0 Atalanta, probably. You're saying 3?
Yeah, I'll go 3-0. I don't
Fair.
think they're totally wipe the floor of them, like as in a 4-0 thrashing sort of thing, but I think they're getting 3-0 easy enough. Shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, probably 2-0, 2-0. Samardzic has been really good for them. Lookman, Retegui, De Catalare. I mean, they've got a lot of really good attackers, and they've got midfielders as well. Pasalic is a good player. Derun, hardworking, honest, puts in good tackles, scores a few goals. Yeah, they're a really, really impressive team. They recruit just on a phenomenal level with the money they have. But yeah, the next one, and this is another important game for the title race, Udinese Napoli. I believe last year Udinese beat them. I mean, Napoli were rubbish last year, but Udinese been all right this year. Beat Lazio. I want to say they had another 2 or 3 impressive results. Right now, Udinese are actually 9th. They're only 2 points off of AC Milan this year. So this isn't going to be a walkover game. They only lost 2-1 to Atalanta. They competed well in that game. And Inter actually played them earlier in the year, and that wasn't an easy game by any means. But yeah, they've been picking up some decent results. I think it'll be a classic 1-0 Napoli Conte win, to be honest with you. I could totally see that. And that's what they've been doing lately, Napoli. So I'd probably go like a 1-0 Napoli, the Conte way, 2-1. You know,
It's the way I'd expect him to do it. Conte, he always plays it safe.
Yeah.
Or tries to anyway.
Just does barely enough to get wins. Yeah. So I'd probably go like a 1-0 or something like that.
2-1, something like that.
2-1 Napoli. Fairs. Juventus Venezia. That's the next one. I mean, Venezia have been horrible as predicted. I don't really give that much of a shot, to be honest, in this one, because Juventus. I mean, but this is the kind of thing that happens in Serie A sometimes, like, and especially Juve drawing all these games. Like they've drawn with freaking Cagliari. Juventus have drawn with some really weird teams this year at home as well. I would think that they have enough. Yeah, like a 3-0 Juventus sounds about right, but then they actually go and play, and it's like you're drawing with Cagliari and these guys. So
they're very up and down, isn't they, at the moment? They've been for a few years.
Yeah. I mean, looking at some of their results. Yeah, drew 2-2 at Bologna. That's fine. Bologna are a decent team. They're 8th right now on level points with Milan. But, like, they drew with fucking Lecce, and Lecce have been awful this year. Lecce or what? Lecce
never really been a great team, though, is it?
Yeah, but like you've and the thing is that I watched that game, the Lecce Juve one from what, not last weekend before that. It was like Juventus didn't really look like competitive in that game. It was bad. Drew with Parma as well. I mean, Parma got some exciting players going forward, but at home, you would have thought that they would have beaten Parma. They drew a Cagliari 1-1, drew at Empoli 0-0. So like I think they'll have enough. I'll probably go like a 2-0 Juve, maybe a 2-1. I'll give Venezia a goal for the hell of it.
Juve should do that. You'd expect that, but then you wouldn't be surprised if they pulled a draw out of pocket either. That's just the way they've been playing this season.
Yeah, a bit inconsistent for sure. You have to struggle to score goals. They're good enough defensively, but they don't score enough. They've had a few 0-0s and draws this season. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, Lecce do have a decent. Yeah, Lecce Monza's the next one. I like Dorgu a lot. Antonino Gallo's pretty good on Lecce as well. And Kristovic looks a handful. For Lecce Monza, if you actually look at the table right now, Lecce 16th, 13 points, and Monza on 10 points. So relegation dogfight. Lecce haven't been great, but Monza have been worse. I mean, Palladino leaving Monza for Fiorentina, they've fell off a cliff, honestly. And that shows how good of a manager that Palladino. I'm really impressed by him because, when you leave a club and you don't replace him adequately, you're going to have a big drop off. Because Monza the past year or two were not relegation contenders, even though they were brand new to the league. So I think, yeah, they really missing Palladino, and then Palladino's doing great with Fiorentina. So I'd say Lecce Monza. I don't know. Give me a 1-1 maybe, something like that. Probably a 1-1.
I can see someone sneaking a win out of that either way, but only by a goal. It'd be a tight game. It's one of those ones where you can easily say a draw, but you could easily say the other could do one by a goal.
Yeah, true.
They're both known to make mistakes in defense.
Yes. Yeah, defo. I'll go what? I'll go 1-1.
It's the safest way to do it.
Yeah, probably. Bologna. This is a good game. This is a good game here. Bologna Fiorentina.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because Fiorentina in the league, we talked about them earlier in the champs, not doing too great, but in the league, Fiorentina right now, obviously 14 games played, 31 points. They're sitting fourth, level with Inter on games played and points, and Lazio as well. And then Bologna are, they started off the season with a few bit too many draws. I think they lost as well. Lazio, we beat them 3-0. They got a red card late in that game. This is a tough one because Bologna are not a bad team, but Fiorentina have been, up until the game that got canceled off because of the Bove thing, they've been killing.
What actually happened with him? I know he passed. What was it? He passed out on the pitch or whatever, wasn't he?
There was a cardiac arrest.
Like what happened with Ericsson.
Yeah, so he'll have to. He won't be able to play in Serie A anymore because he'll have to wear a defibrillator. Well,
yeah, they won't have him there, same as they did with Ericsson.
Would you take Bove? Because this isn't like a player that's like an average player and something tragic. Bove is a good player. Bove is a very good player. He's done really well for Fiorentina. I'd take him at Newcastle on a free.
If you got an option for him on a free, but then it also comes down to, well, what sort of contract is he going to get now as well? It's going to be a very poor contract he gets.
Right.
Because you've got to think on the insurance. The players are insured as such, aren't they? But with him, you're going to have to give him a special insurance.
Yeah, definitely. Going into this game, by the way, Fiorentina have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight Serie A games. 8. Them, Lazio, and Atalanta have been the 3 informed teams of the Serie A that kind of no one saw coming. So I'll give Fiorentina the benefit of the doubt. I'll go for 2-1 Fiorentina.
No, I reckon Fiorentina will get a bit better than that. I reckon it'd be 3-1.
3-1? Okay. Fair.
Fiorentina have been on form of late. I reckon they can walk that game easy enough.
That's fair.
And plus, Bologna, they got bigger games elsewhere.
Yeah, true.
They got a lot of games they got to play this year, and they've got to play harder teams than Fiorentina have.
That's true. Mahfouz asked, why does Serie A not allow players to play with the defibrillator? Probably just because it's not worth. Yeah, probably just because of maybe they personally just don't want to take that risk as a league, possibly. But it is a risk. The thing is with Bove, he might not ever be able to play again because maybe I don't know. He's in a precarious position. The most important thing though is he's alive and he's healthy. So that's what all that matters with that. But interested to see when he's back and available to play where he goes. So yeah, they got Bove. Glad he's not, in a worse situation. But yeah, I'll probably go 2-. You said 3-1 Fiorentina?
Yeah, 3-1. I think Fiorentina will get that easy enough.
Be a good game though. Be a good game. Next one, Parma, Hellas Verona. Parma plays some great counterattacking football, man. They destroyed us last weekend 3-1. Mihalia, Dennis Mann, that striker, that French striker they have, forget his name. They've got a good playmaker, Bernabe. Defensively, they're not great, but they are a really wonderful counterattack.
What is it? They're about, what are they at the moment? 10th, 12th, something like that between there?
They are in 13th.
About 12th, if I remember, 13th.
13th.
You see, Parma was another team I liked years ago. When I say years ago, I mean like 95, 98 sort of thing. When they had Ortega, Lilian Thuram, and all that lot in there. Yeah, Buffon. They had an excellent team.
French center back. What's his name? Thuram.
Lilian Thuram. That's what I said. Yeah, Thuram.
Yeah.
They had it, and that was and Juventus. Yes, that's where he started, wasn't it? And Lilian Thuram, if I remember right, he then went to Juventus, if I remember right. Unless there was a jump in the middle, I think he went to Juventus after that. But at one stage, they had a very good team, and then they just fell to pieces and disappeared.
Bankruptcy and financial issues.
Mm-hmm.
They once they stopped qualifying for Champions League, they're paying bigger wages, and they had to move them on. Then the replacements weren't as good. Then this guy left, and this guy left, and yeah. They've come back, and hopefully they're a mainstay in Serie. It's nice to have them around for sure. So I'd probably go. And Hellas Verona have been really, really bad this year. 18th. They've conceded 37 goals in Serie A through 15 games. That's more than 2 goals a game. So I think they're goals for Parma to have in this one. Probably say another 3-1. If they could beat Lazio 3-1, they could do Hellas Verona 3-1 probably.
They should quite easily do them. After what they did to Lazio, they should quite easily do that.
Yeah. So I'll go like a 3-1 probably. Como, Roma. This is a game where Roma should be firm favorites, and they are to win. But Como have been pretty impressive this year, and Roma obviously haven't been. I'm not really sure what to make of this because Como can definitely play ball. They've controlled a few games. They played Napoli a few months ago. Like controlled a lot of the game, played some really nice football. Napoli had to make some, last minute clearances and saves, and they competed on a really, really good level with Napoli. And Como also, they are struggling a lot though. They are struggling because they're drawing a bit too many games. Only 2 wins for Como, but they could definitely pull off a shocker here on Roma. And with the way Roma have been this year, when they get the win, they don't bounce back and get another one. So I'm thinking maybe a draw for this. Maybe a 1-1. I don't trust Roma to be consistent yet. I don't know about you.
Yeah, but I think I know it's their third manager, whatever. But I think they got a decent manager now. I think Roma can. I think Roma could step it up a gear now. I'm not saying they're going to be a massive threat to anybody, but I think they can step it up again now. I think they've got. You see, this is where Roma are similar to Tottenham. The managers they've had have been basically doing what the same manager with Spurs does. He's been playing players out of position, and when I mean by that, he's been playing them the wrong way. He hasn't been playing them in sync. He hasn't been playing them to what they are best at. And it shows. You can have an average team, but you play everyone the right formation and to what they're best at, you'll make that team good. I mean, that's how Atalanta started getting good again. They didn't have a special team. They had 1 or 2 good players. But where the manager, he got it right. He got the formation right. He got the players playing to what they're best at. And then they started stepping up the table.
Yeah. Yeah, Roma definitely need to do some smart recruitment like Atalanta do. Yeah, Roma have been run pretty poorly. I mean, I was looking at it the other day. It's been 6 years, 5 or 6 years since Roma were last in the Champions League. That's a long ass time. And Roma used to be pretty consistently in the champs when teams were in the 90s and 2000s when Juventus, Inter Milan, Lazio won a title, like when the Serie A was really, really strong. So yeah,
I
they
mean,
they for their sake they need to do it. I'm happy seeing them so fucking terrible.
again, in Italy, I look on like what someone on your side said on your chat.
Yeah,
I look on Roma as basically the Italian version of Tottenham, except they've
yeah,
done a little bit better. They are, because for who they are, they should be much better. And the chances they've had, I still remember that season where Inter pulled it off of them, basically, where Jose Mourinho done the treble. Brilliant season. And Roma should have had that. They should have had that. They was clearly ahead. They had every chance, and they bottled it basically. Roma are known for bottling things. They've
yeah,
had several chances to win that league and screwed it up. They've done it in cups. Yeah, they've won the odd thing here and there, better than Tottenham have, but
yeah,
it's it's like one of your fellas says here as well. It's the way they're ran as well. It's the way they're run as a
yeah,
club. You would
yeah. Because
expect something to do with the capital is one of the bigger, better teams, wouldn't you?
yeah, no, that I completely agree with you, bro. But hey, I love seeing them in the fucking mud for this long. I did not think they'd be this bad, but I didn't think that they would be because their summer window, people were fantasizing about. Oh, it's spectacular. You got Dovbek, you've got you kept Dybala, you got Matthias Sule, Enzo Lefe, Manu Kone, Hummels on a free, and they've won a grand total of like 4 or 5 games this year and all
Manu
comp.
Kone, I think he's a very good player. And
Yeah,
another one, I do not understand why Tottenham didn't go for him.
and I don't understand why Manu Kone hasn't been playing more for Roma for throughout this season. He hasn't started every single game because they put that bum Cristante in midfield instead. I mean, that guy's fucking awful. He's like the Italian McTominay without the goals. He's awful, man.
Maybe he just didn't sink in with the managers that were there. You don't know.
Then why'd you buy him? This is why they're run poorly because it's like, yeah. Some of their players, Indica, Kone, Dybala. And Dybala's actually stayed fit for a lot of the season, but they have to manage his minutes because you can't play him in a month. If you play 7 games, he can't play all 7. He could play 4, maybe go safe and go 3, but you can't play him every single game because they're in Europe and in Serie A. So that's been a bit of their problem. But yeah, Kone's a very good player. So I'm going 1-1 because I don't trust Rome. What about you?
No, I think Roma are going to get that 3-1. I think when they got the new manager, I think they're going to have that manager bounce because they got a decent manager now who's going to play him the right way. I reckon you're going to see him step up a little bit. They ain't going to make it like Champions League, nothing like that. But if we look at where they are, what is it, 11th, 16 points? I'm just checking the league now.
Yeah.
They could still catch up to 7th, I think, by the end of the season. But then they obviously need results in their favour as well.
Yeah, and they got to win some I mean the derby between Lazio and what's it called? Lazio and Roma. That's going to be a huge one. I think that's going to really show if Roma are on the uprise under Ranieri, if they can actually get a European spot or not. I'm looking for. I would play them right now, but it's a derby at the end of the day, so you never know. But yeah, so I'm going 1-1. You said 3-1.
Yeah.
Fairs. Milan Genoa, the Sunday night game. Genoa under Vieira seem to be doing a bit better. And Milan have been, pretty dreadful this year. In all honesty. This seems like a game that they'll probably just nick, just barely, because like I'm looking at some of Milan's results. They haven't dropped points at home to like lower teams, really. They took care of business against Empoli. They took care of business against Udinese at home and Lecce, and also Venezia. So like this is another kind of lower table team. I'd probably say like a 2-0 Milan, but you never know with them. They have almost the same problem as Roma. I don't think they're run really well.
You never know who's going to turn up with Milan at the moment. They're a very inconsistent team.
No Pulisic as well. No Pulisic until January. He's injured. I'd probably still say 2-0 Milan, but Genoa might play him a bit tough. I'll go 2-0 Milan probably.
Milan should get the better of that, but like I said, they're a very unstable team.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But Milan, you'd expect them to get the better of that.
Yeah, I would say so. And then finally, the feature match of the weekend, Lazio Internazionale. This is a big one, man. Looking at the table right now, obviously, Inter and Lazio tied on points. Fourth and Inter sit third on 31 points. Lazio sit fifth with 31 points. You have the goal difference, so you're above us. This could be a very, very good game. I think it's a 50-50 split, or well, win, draw, loss, 33-33. I don't think there's a favorite for this game because of how impressive Lazio have been at home and in general through, just the season in general. If I had to give a favorite, I would say slightly Inter. But also something to work in Lazio's favor is that we've had some decent results against you guys at the Olimpico over the past few years.
I'd still say Inter are significant favourites for that. I reckon it's better than slight favourites. They are better than Inter are better than Lazio through and through.
I agree with that.
I think Inter have got too much up front and too much of a solid defence for Lazio.
Yeah, I agree. And this is Lazio's toughest test of the season. I mean, we've played Juventus away, lost 1-0 narrowly. The red card in that game, unfortunately, swung in Juve's favor. We did just beat Napoli 2 times in a week and then went to Ajax and won. So Lazio in this stretch right now, we've been getting some huge results. And overall during the season, we had a big win against Porto, who are a pretty decent team in the Europa League. Beat them 2-1. Beat Nice up 4-1. Did lose to Fiorentina, but did get a draw with AC Milan as well, 2-2. So it's really tough to predict. It's really, really tough because like our home record, we haven't lost at home this year. I haven't lost. I don't know. What do you think? Well, what do you want to see the lineup as? Would you put Lautaro in? Or do you want to rest him a bit more? Because he's not been great this year for Inter.
I think it's one of those ones where you can quite easily play him, but you can quite easily get away with not playing him as well. I mean, the one I'd be interested. I mean, Pavard, is he injured at the moment?
No, the only injuries for you guys last time I checked was...
Because I know we got several players coming back for the next game. I mean, just looking at it here at the moment, I mean, Pavard's another player that I rate, and this is why I think Inter got
Pavard's been excellent in that past 3.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him when he was at Bayern Munich, and that's another one that I wish that Tottenham would have got hold of.
Play him as a right back or as a centre back in a 3?
Centre back in a 3 for me.
Yeah,
I mean, he's for me, he's not an out and out centre back. He's a ball playing defender as such, I'd say. But then you can also quite easily put him on the right hand side and get a comfortable performance out of him. He's a good performer on both sides. I do rate the player. He's a personal player that I like. Same as where Sassola went. I can't pronounce the name, but when I was quite shocked that they went down. They've had a player that I always liked, Berardi. I always thought he was good.
Yeah, Domenico Berardi. Yeah.
Yeah, but he stayed with him, hasn't he?
Yeah, he hasn't found a move, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, these are the projected 11s. So we're going to, it's hypothetical. It's just a guess from SofaScore. Provedel in goal, Lazzari, Mario Gila, Romagnoli, Nuno Tavares, who's been one of the best fullbacks in Europe this season for Lazio. He's been outstanding. His pace, physicality, and he's worked on his defense a lot as well. He's been super impressive. Probably been Lazio's most consistent player. Rovella has been exceptional. Again, one of the top midfielders in Serie A performance-wise this year. And then Guendouzi's been really good. Isaksen, Zaccagni, Dia, Noslin. There's a lot of goals in that front four as well. You're projected to go with Lautaro, Thuram, DiMarco, Dumfries, Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, Bastoni, De Vrij, Bisek, Sommer. Would you change anything about your lineup?
Well, just looking at injuries here, I'm just looking at who we got on the injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a couple injured, but we're going to get a couple
Herbie
coming back. Yeah, we're going to get a couple coming back. Like Barala, they reckon he's going to be in for it, and DiMarco, he'll be back.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another player that I rate.
DiMarco is phenomenal, man. Oh, my word.
Yeah, I do rate him. Obviously, I like Martinez. Obviously, I like Thuram. I mean, Thuram's another one that I think...
He's been absolutely fantastic this year, bro. He's
on a free as well. You can't go wrong with that on a free.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a person who I'd say is quite an underrated player, same as Pavard.
Yeah, Thuram's currently on 10 goals in Serie A. Only Retegui has more. Moise Kean has 9. Lookman has 8. Vlahovic, Orsolini, and Castellanos are all on 6. So, yeah, Thuram has been, absolutely phenomenal. So you wouldn't change anything about this 11 right here for you guys?
I mean, Divieri is another one I've always liked. Very stable player. You wouldn't say he's the best, but he's stable.
De Vrij.
You'll get a 7 out of 10 of him at least every game he plays. He's a very stable player. For me, he's an old school Italian, English centre-back sort of style. He's an old school centre-back. He's no ball player. Yeah, he's no ball player, but he is the one, if he was going to play 3 at the back, use 2 ball-playing defenders either side. He's one you'd want in the middle as the rock, basically, as the out-and-out centre-back.
Yeah, defo. And if you look at the head-to-head, if we look at right here, Lazio into the past few meetings, you did win 2-0 last year quite easily as well. You took care of us very comfortably. Did beat you 3-1 on 2 separate occasions, though. Got a draw, Lazio win. So out of the past, 5 trips to the Olimpico, Lazio, we got 3 wins, a draw, and a loss. And then before that, 3-0, 3-2. So the past 5 games, we've been, very good, to be honest, because those 5 years, you were a better team than Lazio most of the time. So I would say that's what I'm optimistic about. And the fact that Lazio slip-ups this year have been to Ludogorets, Parma, Udinese, but we haven't lost to one of the big teams besides Juventus, because we got the draw versus Milan. I guess that would be Porto. Haven't played the derby yet against Roma, but I think we could agree though that it'll be a very competitive game. Like, this isn't I know you said that you think Inter are comfortable affairs, but you think it's a good test for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, if Lazio go and win it, you wouldn't be shocked. I mean, you might have. I mean, I'd be a bit surprised if Lazio go and beat Inter, because I think Inter are significantly better, but it wouldn't be an out-and-out shock. The Lazio have got the capability of winning the game, but I do think Inter will have too much for it. And where I think Inter are now going to be able to play a full-strength 11, I think they'll have too much for Lazio.
What's your score prediction?
3-1 Inter.
3-1. That would be very, very impressive. I can't lie. I think defensively, sometimes we can get got at. But if Lautaro starts, Thuram is the one I'm worried about. That left side, DiMarco, Thuram. Burrell is obviously fantastic. I'd probably go with if we start Dia, Isaksen, Noslin. I'm thinking this might be a 2-2. I'll go 2-2.
I mean, DeMarco's definitely going to start for that, they're saying. And we've got, what's his, Henrik, he'll be back. Henrik will be back. Barella be back, get his act back together. Hakan. And then you got Frateza.
Zelensky on the bench.
Zelensky.
Squad bench.
I mean, I like Zelensky. I think he's a good player, but I think he'll get dropped to the bench.
Yeah. I think it's I think it's good that Serie A put this on a Monday, so that both teams could get some decent rest as well. So I think it should be a really, really good game. I would look to run at the Inter team with pace, and we got pace as well. Isaksen and Zaccagni like scoring goals. Go on.
Other leagues look after their teams more. The Premiership has got to be the Premier League has got to be the league that least looks after its players. You look at Bundesliga, you look at Serie A, you even look at Spanish league, French. They actually look after their teams better.
Yeah.
Whereas in England, they just want them to play every other day, basically. And then you wonder why half of them end up busted.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Germany. They even basically give them a month off, don't they?
Yeah. January.
Something like, what is it, 3 weeks or whatever they give them off, isn't it?
Spain as well. France. Italy do for a little bit. England just run them ragged the whole time.
I think Italy, you get about 2 weeks off, don't you, over Christmas and that sort of thing, round about that time. And Germany, I think it's 3 to 4 weeks. Whereas in England, it's mainly through December and January. You got to play the most games. I mean, what is it? In December, you can play up to 9-10 games just in December. Yeah,
you're playing a game 2 days later. And then you play after that game, you play 3 days later. Yeah.
And unless you've got a solid squad of 24, people are going to get hurt. And that is what is happening.
Yeah. Definitely.
And that's why usually when it comes to a Champions League, a lot of the English teams, they're so done because their whole season is that much more intense than any other league out there. They're absolutely done. They're knackered after time.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, how Man City pulled off that win against Inter in the final, you could see City were drained.
Oh yeah. They had to really itch and scratch their way to that one. That was That was what they did. What Italian teams are known for, grinta. That's what it was.
Yeah.
They had a bit of that. So I do. I think this game. This is probably the game of the weekend in Europe, to be honest. Really, really good game. So intrigued to see what happens there. I mean, it's and the thing is, it means a lot, this game, because Inter, like I said, Inter, Fiorentina, Lazio, Napoli, and Atalanta is 3 points from first to fifth. So if Lazio get a win here, that would put a dent, I would say, in Inter's title hopes, especially because Napoli are playing Udinese, and then Atalanta playing Cagliari, and that's before this game. There's gonna be a lot of pressure.
So we do have the game in hand at the minute, don't we? Same as Fiorentina did.
The game in hand is against Fiorentina. Yeah.
I mean, if we go and win that and we clear it by, let's say, 3 goals, then Inter go top of the table, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. So
no, that depends. Yeah, we'd go top of the table through less losses or however it works in Italy.
It would depend on the Cagliari game. Yeah,
the goal difference 19, 20, 21. Yeah, if we go and win that 3-0, then we go top of the table.
Yeah. But this Serie A this season for me has been amazing because of how go on.
I've always said to a lot of people, the reason it's always been my second league, a lot of people don't like the football, not over in England anyway. They say it's boring, whereas Italian football's always been one of my favourites because it's the most tactical out there, I think.
Yeah.
I like counter-attacking football, fast counter-attacking football. I don't mind a team sitting back, taking the pressure, and then 3 direct balls up front and score.
Yeah.
If you've got the right team to do it, you can make the football look very, very good. That's why I've always liked Italian football. Plus, it's always had a lot of players there that I've always liked. It is my second league. I've always liked it. Whereas all my friends was always English or Spanish league, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas the Spanish league, I really don't like it. It don't interest me. No, it really don't interest me. I think it's overrated.
Too slow?
No, you wouldn't say it's a slow league, not at all. But you can blatantly see that it's not as big as it's made out. I don't think. The minute Messi and Ronaldo left it, the league went down. And they've had some brilliant players in Spain and some excellent teams. Don't get me wrong. And Real Madrid and Barcelona are still good teams.
They still have some brilliant play.
But I don't know why their style of football and everything. It's just never. I don't know. It's just never clicked for me. And I've watched enough of it. I mean, if there was a team out in Italy, in Spain, I used to like, it was Valencia. I did used to like Valencia about 15, round about 98, 2000. But then they fell to pieces whilst making their stadium and had to basically dump that off for 10 years, didn't they?
Right.
And they was right up there. Deportivo La Coruña, they used to be quality and then fell to pieces.
Right.
I just don't, it's just never been a league for me. Italy's always been my second league. And I've said for a long time, it's more competitive than people realise.
Oh my God!
It's just where Juventus went and done it. How many years was it on the trot? 9, 10?
Yeah, 9.
Yeah, it killed the name of the league to an extent, didn't it? But then England are basically doing the same now with Man City. They've won it 4 on the trot. Same as Bayern Munich with Germany and that go win it. What was it? 11 years on the trot. It kills a league. It does kill a league.
Yeah. From that, if you're trying to get people involved in it, definitely agreed.
But I've always liked the Italian football. I've always liked the way they play. I mean, people say how slow it's played and that. It's really not.
Atmospheres are always great in Italy as well. The atmospheres, I always like that part of it too.
It's the one place I haven't actually been to watch a game. I mean, been over to Germany, Spain, France, everywhere else. It's the one place I haven't actually been and watched a game, and I always wanted to go to the San Siro.
Yeah. I mean, with the way they're moving, though, they'll never get a new stadium built. So we got plenty of time to go see the San Siro with fucking Italian architecture.
The other problem is, though, I mean, the league, when it was the biggest, but this is why the Premiership is the most powerful league in the world.
Yeah.
You go and look at a mid-table team in the Premier League, and it'll probably make more than a top 3 team in the Italian league.
Broadcast revenue.
Yep, and that is why the Premier League is far superior. But there's, like I say, there's a lot of teams. I said to everybody, do not underestimate Roma, because 9 out of 10 of the Spurs fans, pardon me, 9 out of 10 of the Spurs fans were saying we should destroy Roma. Yeah, we should, for the way they've been playing this season.
Yeah,
I told them they're no mugs. Don't write them off. They got some very good players that if they turn up, they can give us a lot of trouble. And we let them back into the game, and it ended up a draw that we should have won. But I did warn everybody, don't write off the Italian team.
A walkover.
Yeah.
Especially with the way Spurs have been playing. It's not like you've won 10 games in a row and you're
exactly.
It's not like you've been a force of nature the past few years or this season. It's like you could lose or draw to anybody. And on the flip side, you can beat anybody. That's what
over the years, it just seems to me, over the years, a lot of people in other nations, it's like they almost look down at the Italian league for some reason. And I just don't understand why.
I don't
and then they start telling me it's slow and everything. It's not a slow league.
No,
it's not at all.
Atalanta play with speed. Inter play with speed. Milan, even though they're dreadful right now, they have speed, bro.
I like the way Inter play. They sit back, they soak up your pressure, and then they catch you on the flanks or with a good direct ball down the middle and then up front. I mean, you can't. And to me, I like that football. Whereas in England, it's just a lot of people just want to see the ball kick forward 24/7. If I'm going to be honest, I prefer Serie A to the Premier League.
I do too. To be honest. probably because and I naturally I'm a skeptical person by nature. So when I'm told something, like I always question it. It's like, are you sure? Like, like because it just seems like, oh, the Prem is the best football. It's the best, and it's like, is it?
If you go
Because
for an
and then
all-rounder,
I go, yeah, go on.
you've got everything in the Premiership. You've got pace, you've got speed, you've got power, you've got skill. I think the Premiership is the superior league overall because it's got a bit of everything. Whereas if you go to the Italian league, it's a lot more tactical. It is slower than the Premiership, but it has got pace to it. But I think its strong point is the tactics. You go to the German league, a lot more skillful than people realize, a lot more physical than people realize. Spanish league, very fast football. But I think the Premier League has got a bit of it all around as such.
Yeah. In terms of leagues that I enjoy watching, Philly, I'm with you. It's like fourth for me. I like watching Liga 1 the most. Then it's Serie A. Then it's Bundesliga. Then it's probably Prem and then La Liga. To be honest,
and the other point I make on it as well, it's like if a bottom say for instance Ipswich go and do Man City, yeah. Well, I won't use Man City at the moment. Let's say Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd sit there with a surprise, but it's the Premier League. Anything can happen. Anyone can beat anyone. Whereas we go, say for instance, we go look at the Italian league.
Yeah.
If I bring up two teams on here now, just out of random, basically, yeah. And I don't know, someone like Parma, then go and do Napoli or Inter 3-0. You're actually in shock. You're actually shocked that it happened. Whereas in Premier League, it's more, it happens as such. You go to the German league and St. Pauli come out and beat Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Everyone is in total shock. That's the main difference, I think, between those leagues. But I prefer the Italian league myself. Always did.
Same here, bro. Same here. But yeah, let's go and wrap it up. Big up Dan for joining. Like I said,
no problem.
Maybe every
Thanks
Friday.
for having me on.
Yeah, it's been fun, bro. It's been fun. Maybe every Friday we can try and do a Serie A preview. It's been a good stream. Big up everybody in the comments. And again, I need y'all to subscribe to the Hotspur Hood, my guy Dan's channel. No excuses. I already put the link in earlier and it's in the title right now. Go click on it, subscribe, turn the notifications on if you want Spurs content. But yeah, until next time, people, have a great day and Forza Lazio.
See you later.
Looking forward to that game, man.
Come on in.